Now, in a perfect world, the formula would be installed in a school in a makerspace. A makerspace is an environment or a laboratory where you have a little electrical engineering, you have some coding, you have some robotics, you have a 3D printer, where the kids and they have laptops where they can go out on the internet and do research, where the kids can create a prototype, a working, visible example of the product that we're going to teach them to invent. But if you don't have that, and that's the top of the food chain, that's the top of the STEM world, a makerspace with all of this and a curriculum like the formula so that the kids can actually conceptualize new innovations. But if you don't have that, a lab, basically like a computer lab with internet access and a smart board will work just fine. We've done that and it's been wildly successful in that environment. And you can install it as a STEM lab class during the day. An after-school program works really well. We've done it 3 times a week for 2 hours at a time, or a summer camp where the kids just stay in there all day and they just go to town, turning their ideas into products and companies working together. And some of the outcomes or the takeaways, because people have been asking, is that your students would have an overall understanding of the genre of engineering. Like I'm an electrical engineering, they would understand mechanical, civil, computer technology, coding, biomedical, right? And they would understand it from the vantage point of creating something in using all of those different types of engineering disciplines, because engineering is usually where people come up and make stuff, right? And they would understand entrepreneurship, right, through the eyes of an engineer, a scientist, and an entrepreneur. That's really the main goal, is that your kids will be able to they'll be scientists, they can discover, they can innovate, and they can sell like an entrepreneur. They will also understand value-based intrinsic stock investment like the great Warren Buffett, the greatest value investor in the history of the stock market, and he uses an intrinsic value approach, because most people will tell you value is based on 6 times, 7 times earnings, but these companies that have no earnings, they're still valued at $1 billion valuation and turn their CEOs into billionaires in one day, and they've sold nothing. So this whole notion of valuation is not just about 6 times earnings, right? So that's a superior financial literacy. That's the top of the food chain. That's financial literacy when you're a chief financial officer. They'll understand marketing and advertising. They'll be able to write TV commercials and create marketing campaigns for any product in any industry. They'll explore the C-suite and how the C-suite collectively as a team bring their company to market. The program is as much of a behavioral modification and an etiquette class as it is an academic and scientific pursuit. They'll have to master emotional intelligence. No entrepreneur can really be successful without developing high levels of entrepreneurship. There's a whole vocabulary builder where they'll have to, learn. If we do this all year, they'll be able to read the Wall Street Journal. They'll be watching the Bloomberg channel, and they'll be reading papers. Depending on how much time we have with them, that's one of the outcomes, the long-term outcomes, that they will be able to either read the Wall Street Journal themselves and understand it, or they'll be able to hear people like talking on the Bloomberg channel, and they'll be able to understand it because we give them these vocabulary. They have vocabulary words with every lesson. And then all the 21st century skills like emotional intelligence we already talked about. There's a whole list of them, but all of those things are dovetailed into the lesson plans, and you must master those things when you're making a company. Getting a job in a company is hard enough, and you need to master all those 21st century skills just to get a job, but to make a company and to bring it to market successfully, to the IPO process, you really have to understand those. So we drill the kids on all of them, on international competency and geography and history. All of those things the kids don't know that most successful entrepreneurs are history buffs. So if we do this properly at scale, your kids should be begging to go to history and math class, because they'll realize that why they need it to make this money machine. And these are the tools. These are the tools that the kids are going to use to do all of these things that we just talked about. These tools are, without these tools, we could never do this. These tools allow us to fast forward and get the kids up to speed in a very short amount of time. If they went the route that I went with traditional engineering and they had to get drilled and beaten up on it, it would take 4 to 5 years. But we're cutting through to the basic essentials of technology, science internationally to make disruptors and unicorns, and giving them simplified tools that are at their level where they can use, and then later on they can explore these tools in other disciplines, whether in marketing or in science, in biology or investment banking or criminal justice. Every industry uses these tools. Every industry. So what we do is we give the kids the tools, these watered down tools to make this money machine that we've described, and then we show them similar tools in other industries and show them how to use them. And that's when they're really dangerous. And these are how the tools work. Now here's the bedrock of the entire program. Everything basically stems from this, and it's basically what I discussed earlier. Warren Buffett, the greatest value investor in the history of the stock market, this is what he uses, and this is what we use to basically teach kids to be scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. And the quickly, success in the world of on this level is about discovering value, inventing it, engineering it, and then selling it all over the world. And how are you going to do that? How are you going to be able to invest in valuations and stock valuations, add value to society, if you have no understanding of what value is? And most of the programs that we compete with, they don't know. They don't know on this level, this granular level. And everything stems from this. Everything is value. If you don't understand what value is, how could you be expected to discover it, create it, and sell it? You can't. And so without this, the formula would be worthless. And this is really what differentiates us from everyone else. This is the core of it. This is the foundation of the formula. So this is really, this is probably one of the ones that the kids love the most. We basically show them using computer coding, a logic statement that I created that's very similar to computer coding, how other great inventors created their disruptors, and using the tools that are they base all the tools kind of fit into each other like an assembly, right? And this logic statement shows the kids how so what they're doing is they're reverse engineering other people's innovation and watching the creators of these products, watching how they were thinking, which is just, I think this is I know this is revolutionary. God forbid I had something like this before I went to college, God knows where I would be right now, right? So nobody has this. I know for a fact nobody has this. A computer coding logic statement that you can use to reverse engineer and watch other great inventors think, using valuations so that you can make it better, pull it apart and make it better. Nobody has. This is probably one of the coolest tools we have. And when I show the kids this, they just go crazy. They'll just start taking everything apart, putting it back together, and figuring out how people invented it, and then start inventing cool stuff on their own. This is why the kids are so excited. Now, when we talk about entrepreneurship and the C-suite, the chief information officer, chief financial or chief executive officer, right, and designing business models, it's one thing to come up with an idea for a new product, but how are you going to sell it? How are you going to sell it on a national scale? And that requires the CEO to come up with an amazing business model. The chief marketing officer with incredible marketing helps to do that, to sell this amazing product all over the world. This is where we engineer business models, right? And just before, if you think, hey, this is just some figure art, to the left, we have a model for the successful manufacturing of water. So when I talk about exploring models and exploring these tools in other disciplines, this is an example of it. And with this, after the kids come up with their idea, in this instance, somebody uses Icy Hot as their product. That's the product that they're selling. This is an endorsement deal using Shaquille O'Neal, but you have to understand the elements of the model. Like to create water, you can close your eyes, you have 2 pieces of hydrogen, 1 piece of oxygen, poof, you got water. We're saying that we have a model where you close your eyes, you have different pieces of the elements that I'm not going to disclose right now of this model, and poof, you got money, right? You have a money machine. This is the engine, this is the piston in this circular motion of a money machine that grows organically into a lifestyle brand. So this is how we talk to the kids. But just so you don't think this is picture art, I just want to say that this is how we break kids into understanding how important modeling is, right? And how important they are, and why their behavior is critically important, because in the middle of this model is the CEO. And this is why we talk about socio-economic behavior. So in the middle, so the kids are going to be able to see how their behavior in the context of this model dictates how fast this model spins around and produces money. And if they want their money machine to go faster, they have to alter their behavior. This is why the kids do whatever I say behaviorally, because they see it, they tie behavior to money. And we can explore all sorts of models. In every industry there's models. The more models and formulas you have, the more valuable the education. And in terms of risk, if you can have a model and a mathematical formula, that's the only cure humanity has for risk in the world. And in this class, your kids get both. And last but not least, this is the formula. We can basically show the kids how the formula works and how we can chart it. These charts are critically important. Every aspect of college, every industry deals with charts, so the kids understand that speed and charting and money go together, and how their behavior ties into these different charts. So when you watch the Bloomberg channel, they always talk about, let's look at the chart. Well, your kids would understand that. In elementary school and junior high school, we can break it down, and we can show them how this formula, which is essentially a speedometer, tracks how fast their money machine produces capital, and they will do anything to make sure that their money machine is moving faster than the competition, because it's simple. We've turned math into a picture book.